Hey, BookTube. Ah. Um, right now I'm gonna do a thing where I go over. I was gonna do like a weekend reads thing, and then I just ended up uh, reading. So I have the books that I've read this week that I'm gonna show you, and I'm gonna do a wrap up, maybe later today, maybe tomorrow. Thursday for sure. Zoe and I are gonna be doing two hauls. We're gonna be doing a book haul and a zine haul, um, both of which are super cool. So let's get the crack. Okay. So first off, I've been on a Meg kick, and I got with my Audible credit, Meg so shiny that you can't see what it is. It's Primal Waters, Book 3 in the Meg series. There we go. That's a shark, and that's a dude swimming. Um, I don't think I talked about this on here yet, but I did talk a lot about it on Instagram and Twitter. It was so good. Like, if you like the first one, um, then just go for it. And what I think happened here is Meg was kind of a hit, and I don't know if Steve Alton thought it was going to be a hit. I don't know if the publishers thought it was going to be a hit, but it was. So the publishers are like, just give us a sequel, give us a sequel. So he writes The Trench, probably in a hurry. I don't know exactly. And The Trench wasn't bad, but it wasn't good. Primal Waters, um, even though this probably has the worst title of the Meg books, maybe it doesn't, I don't know. It was great, and it started off kind of sketchy. I was like, oh my gosh, and I don't want to give anything away, but basically, now if you remember in my video on The Trench, I said that The Trench felt weird because it was like two separate stories that at the very end come together and make a story. Primal Waters, on the other hand, was like three stories, maybe four, but definitely three. And these stories all kind of intersected, even though the people in the stories didn't know they were intersecting, if that makes any sense. And once everything does come together, it's like explosive. It was just like, wow. The foreshadowing in it was great. There was that thing where repeated phrases happen, and that always gets a little old, especially on audio for some reason. When I'm reading it, I don't really care as much. But when I hear the same, like, he used all of his lactic acid, or something like that, or like just over and over again, I'm like, for fuck's sake, come on, people. It was good. There was about three-fourths into it, it kind of petered a bit, but it came back and it was great. So, Primal Waters, definitely. And I would say, like, Primal Waters is like the sequel that The Trench should have been, but there is some stuff in The Trench that is important to this story. And for those of you who are going, well, why is The Trench so bad? And I think what it is about The Trench is that you read Meg, and it's like, holy shit, blah, blah, and like, oh my gosh, go, 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 go. And for everyone saying we don't root for the humans, I'm calling BS here, because I think, like, how the book's written, you almost, like, are instinctively forced to root for the humans in this. Um, and then when The Trench happens, the biggest problem I see is that Meg ends on a high note. The trench starts off, everybody's fucking miserable. Every single character that comes back is having like the worst life in the history of forever. Horrible things have happened to everyone, financially, relationship wise, everything is shit. And that's kind of like the theme through at least the first half of the book. And to like have your heroes and everyone you cheered on or wanted to see succeed in the first book succeed just to find out that because they succeeded their lives are now shit is kind of a downer. And there are other things story wise that make the book weird, but I really think that the feel of the trench is what makes people not really like it. Um, so I guess I would take that as a hint to, for me and for writers, if your team is triumphant, let them at least hang on to that for a little bit before you throw them into the deep end of the shit pool. So anyway, Primal Waters, good. Next, I showed this once before, I think. Mehars Appaloosa by John Eric Holmes. This is the Burroughs estate either hired him or allowed him to write a sequel to the Pellucidar books. And what was awesome about this is that it was a sequel that had the Mehars in it. And the Mehars were like in the first and maybe the second Pellucidar books. But in the first book especially, they were like the villains. And having them come back was awesome. Another thing that was kind of cool is that because this was written in the 70s, the humans, the hero guy who ends up going to Pellucidar, was very different, and at times that was good, but a lot of the times it was so noticeable that it was like jarring. Like some of the things he says and some of his humor is really like, what? Like, why would you say that? And what's weird is that, like, in the first part of the book, he's like scientist dude with his scientist buddies. And then once he gets to Pellucidar and there's a girl that he's like so infatuated with, he starts saying and doing kind of dumb things. There are a couple tongue-in-cheek kind of like horny teenager lines. But like he gave her his like hoodie because she didn't have any clothes on or whatever. So imagining this like cave woman in like a USC hoodie, like walking through the jungle. That was like things like that were really cool. But this book was just like boom, 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 boom. Like there was just constantly things happening. And that's kind of what you want from these books. And the biggest complaint I have about it is how it ended. It's not a journey book the whole time. Like, it's not like that. But probably about a third of the way through, a journey starts, takes them somewhere, then they're at this place for a long chunk of the book, and then there's a journey back kind of thing. The book ends before they finish the journey, and I think that's really, really odd. Like, really, really odd. It just felt really weird. It felt like he was in the middle of telling a story and then someone's like, oh, you have to turn your work in right now, and he's like, oh, the end. So I didn't like that. But other than that, this was really cool. It was fun to go back to Pellucidar. Um, so yeah, I enjoyed it. Now there is another book that he wrote for Pellucidar, but it never came out. But I think it's out there. Like you could find it, like in the dark web. So I'm gonna try to find that, and I'll let you know how the rest of that goes. Then I read The Deep by Peter Benchley. Trying to get through those books of summer that I put together. Um, I sliced my toe open on the front door thing today, so I keep checking it. I'm really sorry. So anyway, The Deep. This book, okay, is not Jaws. Okay, it's not anything like Jaws. And they even have Jaws on the cover right there. Jaws. And then it says, better than Jaws. For the second time, the book you can't put down. Huh? Like, there is so much wrong with this book. I don't even know where to start. I'll try though. Basically, these honeymooners go to Bermuda, and in Bermuda, they find some stuff while they're diving, and um, because of what they find, um, a good guy wants to help them, and a bunch of bad guys want to kill him, or some fucking stupid shit. I don't want to like give too much away from it. The problem is that this book is like, I couldn't. Okay, I will say I couldn't put it down, but I think I couldn't put it down because I just wanted to finish it. I didn't want to DNF it because it was slightly enjoyable. But like, if you think you're gonna get something like Jaws, you're not. And then the title, The Deep, like I don't think they were even diving that deep. Like it really sounded like they were just like right over there. Like, oh, hey guys. Like it did like that's the thing, and I'm trying to figure out how to explain this. Ow, that just fell on my foot. Um, it would explain something, and you would think you would have an idea of what something was like, and then it would like not immediately, but then like just like a couple pages later, it would describe something else about whatever it's talking about, which makes the first description totally invalid. Like, for instance, like um, in the very beginning, they're diving, and then they come to this cliff, and there's an elevator, and I'm like, oh, that's weird, a underwater elevator. Okay. Well, it turns out they weren't underwater. They had gotten out of the water, and now they were on the beach, and now this cliff is outside of the water. Um, there's a lot about race in this book. Like, there are these group of people on another island that's right by, and they are descendant of black and Irish people. Like, that's who was there, and the black people and the Irish people started marrying and having kids and all this other stuff. But so when they're describing this one character, I have him pictured a certain way in my head. But then, like, apparently he's way more Irish than black. Like, to the point where he, like, hates black people. Which was weird and I didn't understand. But then later, when this black dude comes up to him, he's like, hey, like, we're the same, you and me. We come from the same place, and we got to stick together. Implying that they're, like, the same race or nationality. But it wouldn't even be nationality because the guy he's talking to is Haitian. So I don't even fucking know. But so like you would have like an image of something in your head, but then something would come up that would like make that image not right. So it was just very jarring. But then me and Zoe watched the movie of this last night from like 77, I think, with Robert Shaw from Jaws and Nick Nolte and Jacqueline Bisset. And I gotta say, okay, the book was way better. How does that happen? I don't know. Nothing in the movie seemed to like make much sense. Like, and again, I'm looking at it through, I have just read this book. I know what happens. So that was confusing. Zoe liked it, whatever. It wasn't an awful book, but I don't know. I'll never read it again, if that matters. Q, mini. Then, today, I read Jaws 2. Now, I'm showing you two copies of this book because this one is the normal one. See the lady on the cover? This one is the Scholastic version. Where is the Scholastic image? That little book right there. Which means they sell this to kids in, or they did. I don't know if they still do this. I don't think they do. In those little things you would get, like, I don't know, I think you would get them on like Friday, and it was like just like a sheet of newsprint with all these books you could get, and then you take it home and beg your parents for money, and you check things, and maybe there's a poster of a cat hanging or a roll of stickers or something like that. Anyway, then you take it back to school, and then next week they bring you guys books or whatever. So I went through, I started reading the Scholastic one because the book was in better shape, and this one's like really just going to hell. But I'm like, what if this one has stuff in it that this one doesn't, or vice versa? So I kept like, I would read like a chapter, and then I would get this one out, and then go through the chapter here and try to see if there was any differences. Couldn't find any. There's the exact same page number. The only difference I found was in the back here. You have these like pages where you could order other books, and like you could order like Helter Skelter and the Love Machine and stuff like that. Okay, so that's in the original book. If you go to those pages in the Scholastic version, there's nothing there, but the pages are blank. So I'm pretty confident that it's the same fucking book. Just it doesn't have the things you could buy at the back. So whatever. Anyway, Jaws 2. Oh my god. If you've seen Jaws 2 and you read this book, you will not know how Jaws 2 the book relates to Jaws 2 the movie. There is a water skier and there is a electrical line, if you know what I'm talking about. Other than that, nothing in the book is like it is from the movie. I think this book, even though it says it's a sequel based on the screenplay for Jaws 2, this book is based on Peter Benchley's Jaws novel. Like, we have mafia stuff in here. We have, like, someone getting ready to do some blackmail. We have murder. Brody didn't even know there was a fucking shark. Okay, there's 291 pages in this book. Brody found out about the shark around 278. Okay? I'm not even fucking joking you. This book is more about a town who's trying to get a casino built and a bad cop who shot a seal and like being super progressive by making the Brownie Scouts go in a canoe race, even though the Cub Scouts didn't want them there. Um, if you're hearing the words that are coming out of my mouth and you're wondering what about this is about a shark, very little. But the shark makes little appearances. But typically, the people he makes appearances to, they either get eaten by him or something happens to them to where they can't speak about what they saw. So no one ever knows. Um, it was it was almost surreal that there was a book about a shark, and the shark is hardly fucking in the book. Sean has a fucking seal. A seal. Like a seal. Like in the garage. Okay? Um, there's a mean pharmacist. Uh, yeah. There's a guy called Yak Yak. You know, like, all sorts of fun stuff. So anyway, the book was good for what it was, but it's nothing like Jaws 2. Like I'm like, if this was actually a script that was turned in, and then someone's like, oh, let me get out my red pen here. Everything I cross out, I want you to take out and come up with something new. Okay. What page does this screenplay start on? Page 1? Oh, got it. It's 180 pages long. Okay, I'm going to put a red line through page 1 through 178. There you go. You need to rewrite this now. Jaws 2, the film, is almost like a slasher movie. It's a bunch of teens, like, on shitty little boats, out in the middle of nowhere, stuck in the water. The sharks hunting them. They tie their boats together to try to just live. Okay? The only thing that remotely sounds anything like that happens in one chapter, and it's like the last 3 pages of that chapter. It's like shocking how little this book is like Jaws 2. So with that, but I liked it. So go figure. Oh wait, no, there is one more thing I read. I'm gonna have this in my haul. This is the first Tom King run of Batman books from, I think this is from 2016. This is I Am Gotham. It collects Batman Rebirth and Batman 1 through 6. So it basically tells the story of Gotham and Gotham Girl. And one of the best things in here is probably... There's some great artwork in here, by the way. Oh, there's Batman's face. I'm covering it. But one of the coolest things is how... And it's like in the first couple issues, how Batman and Alfred like work together to try to figure shit out, like their detective abilities. And just this is like one of the first comics of Batman in a long time I've read that shows you really how fucking smart he is. And it's crazy because I've been reading a lot of the Tom King stuff. And it seems like this whole thing, like Batman's on a fucking airplane that's about to crash. Okay? Here, let me find a great shot. Look. He's riding on top of an airplane and trying to guide it over the buildings so it doesn't crash into Gotham. Okay? How does he do all this? Math. Him and Alfred, the whole time, are doing math and trying to figure out if a plane's flying at this speed, at this trajectory, how fast would you have to go to be able to do this and jump? It was amazing. So, but yeah, it was just... when I first I remember when I first saw this, I saw Gotham and Gotham Girl, and I'm like, oh my god, this is so fucking stupid. Give me a break. I actually really ended up liking both characters like a lot, and that really shows you a lot of people talk shit on Tom King, especially recently for Batman 50 and the lead up to it. But it really shows you how good he is as a writer. David Finch, how great he did in this as well. But to where you could take two characters that seriously sound and look kind of stupid, and then all of a sudden you really like them. Like, it was just great. And I'll show you my book haul. I got a few of these collected editions of the early Rebirth run of Batman because in collecting the floppies and because of where I live, I can't get to the shop all the time. So, like in different parts of the year. So, my collection of the floppies, like the normal comic books, has been spotty. So, it was really cool to be able to pick this up and kind of I'm gonna just try to follow along now through the trades. I might still do floppies, I don't know. Okay, this video is super long. I'll try to do another one later, but let me know down below what you think of what I read. If you've read any of these, what you think. um, yeah, I can't wait to do this book haul. It's gonna be sick. Okay, bye guys.